Hold on tight.
Here comes the Riveted with Chris
and Gina.
Gina, I kind of wish that I was in the desert right now.
Why?
Well, I mean, think about it. This time of year in the desert Southwest is awesome.
It is very warm.
Yes.
It's sunny.
Blue skies, warm.
That sounds really nice right now.
You can get out, camp off the grid. You can just, boondock to your heart's content. And
I agree.
Right? Just reminisce.
All right, let's go.
We're going. I just wanted to say that out loud because, listener, the guest that we have on with us today is a gentleman that a few years back around this time of year, actually it was a little earlier in the year than this, but it was still wintertime. We were enjoying wintering in Quartzsite, Arizona area, and that's a mecca for RVers, obviously, in the wintertime.
Absolutely.
And we had a big, huge gathering, lots of friends, lots of people camping together, and one of our friends had a friend.
A friend had a friend?
A friend had a friend, and he became our friend.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like sharing friends.
Sure. And so hanging around the campfire, hanging out during the day, camping, we met a gentleman that is from the wonderful country of Canada. And so we are excited to say again that we now have our second international guest on the podcast.
Do. It's so exciting.
Yes.
But this one's from, he's a Canadian, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Did I do that right? Canadian, eh?
Well, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, we're just glad to have him on the podcast. His name is Lloyd Williams. He's a world traveler, great guy, and a fairly new Airstreamer.
Woo-hoo.
And we're going to hear all about it today. So, Lloyd, welcome to the Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Well, thank you so much, Chris and Gina. Glad to be here and glad to have a chance to talk to you guys again. It's been a while.
Yes.
Too long.
It is. It's really, really fun to meet people out on the road, obviously. And, you can go one way, we can go the other. But then as travelers and RVers, we can reconnect. And we did that with you here just now. And glad that you came on our podcast. And
congratulations for purchasing an Airstream.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, you guys helped push it over the edge. I remember when I got there, I had the Sprinter, which I've been in for the last several years, and I saw your Airstream, and Chris gave me a tour of it, and I loved what you guys had done with it. So, and I've always wanted one. I've wanted one for like 40 years. I've wanted this Airstream.
Well,
now he's got it.
Yeah, and that's what I think is neat about chatting with you now is that we met you when you had that Sprinter and how you had customized it with such craftsmanship and how great quality it was, the way
details
you finished it out and showed it to us. And then to hear that you took that same kind of detail and decided to point it towards being an Airstream owner, just made us feel good, and definitely glad to have you to chat about it. And so go ahead, tell us like what the transition was. What did you get? When did you get it? And your little backstory about your lifelong passion with Airstream.
Sure. Like I said, I've been on the road RVing or camping or traveling for many, many years in many forms, from bicycles to motorcycles to boats. Former partner and we had a Prevost bus, the big 40-foot Prevost stainless steel riveted bus. And she and I traveled all over the world, all over North America, and that several times. And then went to a boat when I came out here to BC, and had that. And then realized that I had too small a boat on too big a water, and I was getting too old. And the season was too short. And I wanted to see more than I could see in 4 months. So I said, I'm going to go back to the road. So I bought a Sprinter cargo van and converted it to an RV, but did it using marine code rather than RV code. So it was all marine hardware, marine wiring, everything else. And it just, because I wanted to build it to last. And I loved it because I was going from place to place on a regular basis and moving every 3 or 4 days and everything. And it was stealthy. I could camp in town and everything. It was I loved it. And it's a perfect vehicle for somebody who's moving a lot. But as I got older, I realized that I was base camping. I had moved from going from place to place to place to picking like 10 or 12, 15 places a year and staying for 3 to 4 weeks at a time. And that's a whole different model because now the whole house is moving every time I want to go fly fishing or every time I want to go into town to see something. And I said, I need a trailer and a 4x4 truck or something. and so I can go up to the high altitude. I like to fly fish high altitude. So, and I don't know why when I first thought about getting back on the road, the Airstream didn't pop in with more excitement, except for the fact that I had been watching all these young millennials in their Sprinter vans just having a blast. And it was compelling. And though I like the Airstream community, it is an older community and everything else. And there was an energy level I got excited about the Sprinter. And they are fun. I mean, they're a great group to hang with, but they do move all the time. I mean, they're constantly on the road. And that just got to be old for me. I hated trying to keep looking for someplace to park and everything else.
Well, let me just tell you, Lloyd, that when we met you for the first time a few years back in Quartzsite and you had that van, your hip status was elevated.
Oh,
in
absolutely.
Our eyes. Yeah. Like you were a hip gentleman, even at your age at that time. And so just because of the van, you had that status.
Oh, yeah. No.
Well, that's how it works. I mean, that's what you can do. So if you want to get hip status, step down to a Sprinter and get one. Yeah. It's not bad. But I did find I missed the space. And that was the big thing. It got to the point to where I just really wanted more space. I mean, literally, I've had this now for less than a month. And I've had more people sit at this dinette and have a conversation or a coffee or enjoy a dessert with me than I've had in the last 4 years and on the road and anything else. It's just, it was just easier to do because even though the front seats swiveled around and everything else, it just wasn't as comfortable a place unless you want to sit outside. And even in Quartzsite, I mean, it was sometimes evening was a better time to sit outside because it was pretty windy during the daytime. And the inside of the van just wasn't a place to sit. So I'm looking forward to getting back here. I have an International Serenity 25 rear bed, and the dinettes on one end with wraparound 5 windows wrapping around, and there's beds in the back, queen size beds in the back with another wraparound 5 windows. It's so bright in here. Yeah. It's magnificent. And it's this long couch on one side coming off the edge of the dinette. So it seats. I mean, I've had 6 people. I mean, myself and 5 other people in here already. So it lives. I said it entertains 6, it feeds 4, and it sleeps 1. So so it's not a bad thing.
That's okay. So I just want to interject here for a second because you're talking about since you've had the Airstream for the past month, you have entertained more people. You know, they say that the aluminum is not magnetic, but it is magnetic because it draws people like crazy, doesn't it?
Yep.
They just come up and say, "Oh, I love the Airstream. That's the silver bullet or size." So they have some memory about it from the past, and they just come up and want to kind of look inside and say, "Yeah, come on and step inside. We'll have a cup of coffee." And it's just that way. It's really amazing. And I don't normally come to Canada in the wintertime. I normally winter down south, but I got out of sync this last year, and I ended up spending all my summer down in the States. So I had to flip it up here and do my residency up here now for the next 6 months.
Yeah, expand on that just a minute, just for anybody that might be listening that is not aware of how that works with a full-time RVer from Canada, like the typical logistics of how you do that.
Like how long you can stay in the States before you have to go back.
Sure. I mean, I'm a dual citizen. I was raised in the South, in Georgia, in Virginia. I have a Virginia accent, and I grew up in my working years were in Atlanta. But I moved up here over 21 years ago. Pamela and I moved up here and because she was from Nova Scotia. We lived 15 years in Nova Scotia. And the rules are you have to be in your country of residency for 6 months and a day. So it's 1 day over 6 months. And you can travel around the world anywhere else you want to go for the other part of the year. You can go to Europe sometime. We used to go to Europe for 4 to 6 weeks at a time, and then go down to the States and catch Broadway plays and that kind of stuff there. So you can travel anywhere you want to go, but you have to stay inside, and that's to keep your health care and your residency requirement. So that's the rule. Now, it's not just 6 months in a day. There's two calculations. One calculation is just the raw 6 months in a day per annual year. But then there's a 3-year cycle. So if you have to end up staying over 1 year, you can roll it out over a 3-year period of time and get an average number of days, and you can work it that way. So there's two calculations that are done. Because when we had the bus, we were way over we stayed down in the States for a long time. And it took us 5 years to get it back in the normal cycle again. Today, that would be harder to do because it's more, the border crossings now are all electronic instead of paper based. So there's better records now than there was before. But I go down for, I basically try to leave Nova Scotia. I go from here across over to Nova Scotia from BC to Nova Scotia during the spring, and then I try to cross in to Canada, to U.S. For the fall season in New England. And this year it's great. We're great. I'm actually going to catch the International Rally in August, the Airstream Alumapalooza thing in August, September, and also going to catch the Indies, the independent Airstreamers in Vermont for some fly fishing in September. And then I'll pop back up to Canada, finish out my winter up here, and then cross back down again and head to the Southwest for the winter.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be a fun time.
Yeah.
Now, see, Chris, we couldn't ever live in Canada.
Why?
Because we're not planners, and that just blew my mind right there. I'm like, how do you figure all of that out?
That's a plan. Yeah.
Well, I have to keep track of the out of country residency day count. So I just put a little note, and every time I'm out 12 days here and 10 days here and 3 weeks here.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I would
normally
be driving over. I'd be driving over to the border and saying, "Hey, how many days have I been across? Can you what can I do? Help me out here.
Can you check my account real quick?"
Yeah. So what does that mean?
See how much I got left in there?
Yeah. that would be me.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I know, depending on where you are in Canada, your winters can be harsh, obviously, and so coming down into the desert Southwest like you did a couple years back when we met you, I'm sure was a strategy, and you enjoyed that. But you're in a pretty unique place right now, too, right?
This is the warmest. I'm in Victoria, BC. This is the warmest part of Canada. Nova Scotia is lovely. I love it. I love the people. I love the summer. The best time to visit, if you just want to know, is August, September, and October. That's their prime season. The winters can be harsh and the winters can be icy. And I'm almost 70 now, so ice is not, and I don't get along good together. So I had to get out. So about 5 years ago, I moved west and moved to BC, bought a old classic wooden boat, restored it, and tooled around the Gulf Islands and Desolation Sound and the Inside Passage and all, and had a grand time. Just loved it. Had it parked right in front of the Empress Hotel and everything. It was a dream of having a boat in front of the Empress. It's a great marina, and it's a lovely town. It's a walking town. It's the old East India Trade tea center for the British trade with China.
You're talking about Victoria, right?
Yeah.
Victoria, BC. Yeah. So it's got all these old buildings with stone and cobblestone streets and street lights and everything. It used to be gas. Now they're electric. It's just a magical place that way. So as a photographer, I love it because I spent the whole winter here now photographing it, and I'm going to try to do a little booklet on it. But I shoot black and white. So it's perfect for black and white because all the stone pops and everything else. So it's
I bet. So we were in Port Angeles.
Yeah, that's the ferry.
Yeah, we took the ferry across, And we just walked across because we left our rig in Washington because we didn't have time to come into Canada at that time. But we just walked on to the ferry and went across, and we explored that town for a full day because we didn't get back till 10 or 11 o'clock, whatever the last ferry was to take across. But that was a very beautiful town.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wait. And they were having a wooden boat show there in the harbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Palm was the name of my boat. Palm's been in that festival now 3 years. It's been in there.
How about that?
It was there when we
it's a
were
great place.
there.
Do you think that
This was in 2017.
yeah,
No, it would have been in Seattle. It would have been in Seattle that way, but it was down at Port Townsend, at the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival, and
yeah,
and
that's a
and
nice
won
place
the
too.
yeah, it won the award down there when it was back in 2012.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Do you think that your passion for boating and all of the craftsmanship that it takes to build, a seaworthy boat, good quality boat, is that one reason why you're gravitated to Airstream as well?
It is. I've always loved craft and aesthetic, so I love the hand craftsmanship. I grew up with a real appreciation for the Japanese arts and the Japanese way of refining things to a higher level of perfection and beauty. And so handcraft, woodwork, pottery, all those kind of things have been of interest to me for years. And I just love the fact that they built the Airstream on such a high quality. I mean, this thing is built to a much higher standard. You close the door and it sounds more like a really nice door on the bus, the Prevost. That's why we had the Prevost. There's a lot of motorhomes out there, but you don't realize that at Prevost, though the original buyer might have paid $1 million for it, and we bought ours for $99,000, had 99,000 miles on it. Yeah. And it was still better built than the newest things coming off the lot where they were fiberglass. And it was amazing to drive something. And this is the same way. It's quieter. So the couple was in here the other night, and we had this huge blow going on. And they said, it's not moving. I said, no, it doesn't move. It's all the center of gravity is really low, and it's really the wind blows over the curves better than hitting a billboard side of a brick.
We experienced that, out in southern Arizona where we met you, and several other people commented the same thing. They were in all different types of rigs. We were of the group we hung out with, 15, 16 rigs. We were the only Airstream, and everybody else had fifth wheels or travel trailers or some type of motorized RV. And every one of them commented about how they were just getting blown around like crazy, even with stabilizers down, when the winds got up, and not with ours.
It's just a big difference. I mean, and that's the same thing with towing. I mean, towing. I've been around Airstreams. I had some dear friends in Georgia that used to be part of that really old Airstream only campground out just north of Dahlonega. So we used to hang with them when I was younger.
Top of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Great group of people. And so I fell in love with them and had a chance to ride while they were being towed and everything else. And they just tow better because a crosswind doesn't affect them nearly as much as it does those. I mean,
you don't even know it's behind you. Yeah,
you don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't. When I'm driving, I don't even feel like it's behind me. I still go 100, 110. No, I'm just teasing.
When Gina drives, she doesn't realize it's behind her.
He's like, you do realize this. He says, this is a truck and not a sports car, and we're towing. And I'm like, really? I never knew.
But you wake up on those curves. See, that's when you wake up and realize it. When that second set of wheels goes over the edge of the curve, that's when you figure, oh, there was something back there, wasn't there?
Oh, darn.
She's a very safe and capable driver when she's towing the Airstream. But the thing that she is not cognizant of is the RPMs of the engine. Like, she'll be going down the interstate at 65 miles an hour or whatever, and there'll be somebody that she wants to pass, and she'll give it gas like she's in a sports car. And the next thing you know, the engine's going 4,500 RPMs. and she's still only going 70 miles an hour
It's
because
all right.
it gears down, and she doesn't care, man. She just lets it eat.
He's like, well, there went all of our gas. I said, that's okay. There's another stop up here.
Yeah, it's just fuel. That's okay.
Yeah.
But but the thing that I really love about Airstream is there's been such a long history of the company working with the owners and making little detail changes. I mean, like, I don't have a dog, but the screen door's got 3 screens on it. One for a midget dog, one for a medium-sized dog, and one for the tall dog that tries to reach up and jump out the top of the screen.
Yep.
All the corners, all the joints and everything is just done so well. And it's set up. I mean, even on the international here, it's wider as you go back to the back bedroom. They've widened out the area as you come to the connection between the closet and the washroom, and then it gets narrower as you get through. So it gives it feels bigger to you than it would if it was just one straight line. It's just little architectural features that they've done that you knew was some comment somebody made, and some engineer said, "Yeah, we can fix that. We can strengthen."
Yeah, because it would have been quicker and cheaper for them to just build it in a straight line, but adding that contour made all the difference in the world in the usability of the inside, and that goes along with the way the windows open and the the shades and the functionality of storage underneath furniture and all that kind of stuff. It's just
exactly.
Well, Airstream listens to the customer as well. And you said that you were going to Alumapalooza.
Mm-hmm.
We went there in 2018, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, 2018.
In 2018, we were at the old manufacturing facilities where they held it then. The new one was being built. And they did a board meeting, or did they call it a board? That they did
it was
like a round table kind of
discussion,
and they listened to all the customers or all of us sitting out there. They wanted to hear from us, and they had some of the engineers there, some of the workers, in the manufacturing part.
The VP over trailer sales was there and everything, and so there was conversations that were really healthy and good, and then there was some conversations that people subjects people brought up that were just silly.
It was silly,
but at the end of the day, after that was over, they had the engineers walking around through the rally field where everybody was camped, just talking to people one-on-one, saying, "Hey, show us something, tell us something you like, you don't like, whatever, and
what are you having difficulties with? What do you wish we had done differently, or what suggestions do you have?" It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, and I think that, and you probably are already aware of this just from all of the other, your eye on quality and aesthetic, but I'm sure there's other brands of products out there that do that same kind of thing. But what Airstream's doing with that, and given the history that they've been around, the length of time they've been in business, that sort of thing, all of that is just what causes you to get a positive experience from owning one for the long term.
Exactly. I mean, and the thing is, you don't pay that much more for a lot more quality, and these are all expensive nowadays. I mean, all of them are expensive, but the difference in the build, and then in the resale value. I mean, down the road, this thing will. I mean, I looked on the sales sheet. I paid more for this than the original owner did, and both of the previous owners sold it for more than they paid for it when they got it. So
what year's yours?
Mine's 2017.
Oh yeah. 17. Yeah. So I could definitely see that being the case. Where ours is a 2018, but we bought it in 2017. So we're kind of in the same situation. And you're exactly right. So did you get rid of the van, or you still have it for right now?
I've got it here. I finished up this last week getting everything out of it, neither in storage or in the trailer here, or set aside to go into the truck. So that made 3 piles, and that was, but it's empty now. And now it's time to clean. I started cleaning it up yesterday. I'll clean it up the next couple of days, get it all cleaned up, do a detailed job. Then I'll take it up to the Empress and photograph it. And then I'll put it up on Facebook Marketplace and Instagram and all my blog and everything else from somebody. Luckily, I've had some people that have followed along with the whole build, because I documented the entire build day by day for the 101 days on Instagram and Facebook. So, Roaming for Life, the whole history of the vans there, and the same thing with the boat I did with Palm too. It's all the Palm's reconstruction of Palm is all on there too. But it was fun. I just I post almost every day. Now I'm doing mostly photography, no longer construction like it once was. I decided I didn't want a project. I thought about getting an Argosy. I've always loved the Argosy because this floor plan, where you have the wraparound windows on both ends, a diner on one end, and a bedroom on the other end rather than a bathroom, only comes in a few models. This 25-foot series, and then the 24-foot series, and the Argosy. And so I was looking at Argosy, but I said, I really don't want to do a project. And every one of them, it was going to end up having to be a project because they're just old enough. They're from the 70s, so there's some work's got to be done somewhere. And unless it's already been done, and then you could have bought a new one for cheaper than you could buy it. It was like it wasn't worth it. And I just said, and then when I saw this one here, and it really wasn't used. The tires were the original tires. They still had almost no wear on them. We had them replaced because they were over 6 years old. But outside that, I can find no wear on the fabric, the leatherette stuff. There's no scratches anywhere. It must have sat parked for the most part. Even on the roof, all of the silicon joints don't have that sun glare where it fades on the sun fade. So it must have been undercover and protected and used very little. So it feels like it's almost felt new when I got it. So it's
That's great.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And the Serenity trim or I guess interior design is beautiful. That fits you. From what we know about you, that fits your style perfectly.
Well, yeah, man. They call it Asian. I'm Buddhist practitioner, and it was like the color scheme of the Asian sand for the walls, and then the espresso for the fabric for the leatherette was just perfect.
Yeah.
I said, this feels like home.
That's awesome. That's great. And so, since you've only had it this short amount of time, then you probably haven't traveled much in it yet.
I haven't traveled at all. Matter of fact, I had it towed down. I couldn't tow it with the van, so I had it towed down with one of the guys from the shop up there in Duncan brought it down for me, and we set it up. And I hadn't moved since I got here. It won't move till April 1st when I leave. Well, it'll move before then to get the Wilburnize or whatever it's called, that
Walburnize.
Walburnize coating done before I leave. But I'll be leaving April 1st, so I'm hoping to get the van sold quickly. I'm looking at getting a Yukon rather than a pickup truck. I really would rather have something that has the same kind of towing capacity. It'll tow 10,000 pounds, but be more of a town car, and the ability if I do want to go stealth, I can just crawl from the drive seat back to the back and back from the back to the drive seat, just like I do in a van, rather than having to get out and go around.
Hold on just a minute. Just hold on. You said you were almost 70 and you can crawl from the front to the back.
Oh,
Chris,
well, that's part of being a full-time traveler. See, I've been a full-time traveler long. You stay healthier. You just get healthy. You're just more flexible. Keep moving. I mean, boaters are healthier than RVers just because they have to do more stuff with weight and pulling stuff and pulling stuff. But between boaters and full-time travelers, I mean, the Escapees group, that's how I met you guys. I mean, Bev and Mumsy were met me at the first time I'd ever stayed. I've been a member of Escapees for decades, but I'd never been to one of their facilities. And I went to that campground they have in outside of Phoenix. And they were next to me and invited me over for spaghetti dinner one night. And we got talking. They said, you got to go to Quartzsite. So I ended up in Quartzsite. And they invited me to your what was it? The Riveted Foxes camp out day or something. And it was fun. We just had a grand time. So it was great.
That's awesome.
But Escapees, all of the Escapees folks are, they're way older than I am, and they're just as active as can be because they've been moving all along. They're always going, always doing something. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, and when you see, at the peak out there in Quartzsite or Southern Arizona, in the off season or in the wintertime, just hundreds of thousands of people, and they're of all different ages. But for the most part, the ones that are traveling full time, they have a passion of going and enjoying and experiencing things. And yeah, they're not just sitting back in their
They're not
recliner.
couch potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's the distinguishing factor is that the weekend fifth wheeler or weekend big plastic coach guy, which basically replaces the house by bringing the house on four wheels instead of leaving it at home. They sit on a lawn chair. They just go and they
Yeah.
put the grill up there and they cook something. They sit on and they don't go anywhere. Full timers are going all the time. I mean, they may not even pull the chairs up. They're coming somewhere. They're going to see the museums, see the the sights in the area, hiking, biking, kayaking. They're moving. They're basically adventurous people
Right.
by nature.
Yeah.
In the same way boaters are. And that was the thing I loved about the boating community was they get to a town, they anchor up or moor out, and then they dinghy in and tour around, hike and bike and everything else they can do. So it's a much different crowd than the group you see at the local campground on the weekend. It's the weekend campers that are basically just there to detox from
They're
work
there
all
to
week.
relax.
They're
Yeah.
just trying to relax. That's all they want to do is just stop and vegetate for a while. They're just tired of, and that's a whole different community. I mean, they're two totally different communities.
And and they each have their place in RVing, obviously. And the thing that we gravitate towards with our Airstream is trying to find every opportunity to camp off grid, boondock, just be outside of an established RV campground or resort. And what we found is that has allowed us to meet people that are have like-minded thoughts.
Right.
You get out in the desert with 100 other rigs that are all doing the same thing, and it's just a neat way to connect with people that have a common interest in that type of camping. And it's what we like about doing it with our Airstream is usually it's easy for us to remember where we parked out in the desert because it's there might be 100 rigs out there and they're all tan and square and have some graphics on them, but then there ours is over there. I remember which entrance off the road to turn off and drive down a half a mile desert road to find us. I remember where we were.
Well, you remember that happened when we were in Bouse, and we were coming across the mountain, and we're like, now somewhere out here is our Airstream, and there was something shining. The sun was hitting it, and it kept shining in the distance. We're like, well, there it is, but how do we get to it?
Yeah, like I see it.
We forget where to turn.
Beacon light. But the thing that I find amazing is that almost everybody would like to do full timing, and they don't. I think some of them just don't realize that it's so accessible. I mean, today with most people doing some kind of service work or technology type thing, I mean, all these young, the millennials figured this out. I mean, that's why you don't see any millennials working at tables and at the restaurants anymore. There's no wait staff anymore. They don't exist. They figured they'd take a backpack and an iPhone and go to Thailand and be a waiter in Thailand and have cheaper cost of living and see more. And they figured out that travel is accessible. But what I find was amazing when you ask them and they say, I'd love to do this here. I said, well, just retire now. The problem is you just reduce the expenses to the level of income you got, whether it's your Social Security check or whether it's something else, and realize that you don't have to have all the other stuff. Most of your stuff you're paying for is stuff you don't really need. And and when they reduce it, you hear all these stories of people that like these people that get divorced or they get widowed or they get or they have a loser job or something, and all of a sudden they go off on the RV that's been sitting in the driveway and realize after COVID they realize, oh my God, I can live this way. I can live this way full time. And that was what the escapees and what Wally was trying to teach back in the 50s is that there's a whole different way of living that's more adventurous and you see more. And I love, I don't have any kids. I never wanted kids. but I find that boating kids and full-time traveling kids are just different than everybody else's kids. They're
Yeah.
just
Oh,
better.
we've experienced that.
Yeah.
And
They just seen more and everything else.
yeah.
Well, they're well behaved and
Yeah.
their minds are open and they just absorb so much.
They're so inquisitive. They know how to have a conversation with
Yes.
adults. They're curious. They've seen so many different things, and they're so knowledgeable. I mean, they've got
Yeah.
a world of experience. So I find it amazing. I don't see why every young couple just doesn't jump on something, figure out some way to take their job online.
Yeah.
I sure
Well,
wish that we had known about this or had been, open to it or heard about it back when we were younger, because we definitely would have done it.
yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to a point you made when you were talking about, the doing it now part, or just a lot of the stuff people are working for to accumulate or acquire versus, traveling, and compare that to, or tie that into Airstream. Is that Gina and I lived a fairly minimalistic lifestyle even before we traveled full time. I mean, we lived in a lot of different places and different types of homes and everything. But our last home prior to the Airstream was a 3-bedroom townhouse, and it was, fairly new. And HOA took care of all the outside. The inside was very nicely but minimally decorated, and I had a little small courtyard outside, easy to take care of, that kind of stuff. But the point I'm trying to make is, if people take that big fifth wheel, that humongous travel trailer, big Class A diesel pusher, whatever, and they travel in it, they have a tendency to carry just as much stuff as what they had at home, and it can still kind of bog them down and make them feel like they have to have all that stuff.
Yes.
But with the style and the design of an Airstream, it makes you live minimally, and that's not a bad thing. I mean,
No, it's not.
it is the design element, the style, the features that are designed into it. You don't have 4 slide outs and a bunch of moving parts and a bunch of, hydraulic stuff, and, all of the outdoor kitchens built into the side of the rigs, and, just all of the accoutrements that come on some of these newer, huge RVs nowadays. Airstream doesn't have that, and we think that's a good thing, because it helps to just shift your mind to being to live small in a smaller footprint. And there's some big enjoyment that can come from that. And I'm sure you've experienced it with the van, and I know you're already realizing you're going to experience it with the Airstream.
Well, the big thing I see between the Airstream and the van and the other RV world out there is the other RV world is basically trying to replace the house experience. You got your TV on the outside, you got your TV on the inside. There's a TV and three TVs inside, so everybody can have their own TV and watch their own show. And it's almost like a carrier to haul all the other stuff that they want to sell you from the stores out there selling RV, other things, the outside. Whereas instead of going and seeing where you are, you sort of stop and just sort of set up camp, and camp becomes home. You're just setting up home, another version of home, and you stay there because everything's there, and there's all these things that can distract you from that. Whereas if you find a minimalist lifestyle, you got to go do something, because there's nothing, after you finish reading your book, some of this, it's you want to go see something, go check out the town, check out the national park. But what I like better than anything else is the fact that every day, I mean, I've been on the road now since I was 30, and every day I can wake up and look out, open the door, or look out the window, and the national park or the state park or the Bureau of Land Management land or whatever it is the backyard, instead of it being my backyard. It doesn't change unless I put something in there and grow something different the next year. And I've had backyards before, but it's like every time you open doors, a different backyard. I remember we going to Moab first time with the bus, and we parked there at that campground on the north side of town, which where the creek goes through with all the trees.
Mhm.
We were there for 12 weeks. We hit 12 national parks in 12 weeks.
Wow.
It's just all of southern Utah is nothing but national parks. It's like this.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
You parked one place and day trips all around. We were never at the campground. I mean, just to sleep, and it was it. We
Right.
stayed on the road the whole time, and it was grand. It was just a grand place, and that hooked me. I just said, this is what I want. I've been a tumbleweed most of my life, with bike trips and motorcycle trips and that kind of stuff there, and they were all go go go. But I like, now it's more like base camp. I like to fly fish and photography, so that my black and white photography sort of keeps me landscaping and architecture and street photography, and then the fly fishing keeps me up high country fishing for the little small brook trout and the high altitude
See, that
stuff.
sounds like
It's
fun.
kind of nice.
I think that I think it's going to be safe to say that once you get out and get that Airstream on the road into some beautiful places, you're going to find yourself taking a tremendous amount of pictures of it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I already have. I still, it's like I have a Vespa, which I like to shoot the Vespa in my picture. And the van was the same way. I mean, vanners put their van in their pictures. I mean, Enzo's the name of the van. I haven't decided. I think I'm going to call this one Enzo 2, but I haven't decided that yet. I really haven't. I've been toying around with the idea of whether I want to call it Enzo 2 or something else. But they put it's part of the scene. It's like having a mascot. It's like having a dog with you. It's other version of the trip. Who's traveling with you? And the Airstream's the same way. I already take pictures of it, and how it looks from this light and this light over here, and it's very photogenic.
Oh, tremendously.
Yeah.
And we're nowhere near as accomplished of a photographer as you are, and we take pictures of ours all the time. Gina's great at it. She has an eye for the right angles, and especially if the sunset hits it just right and reflections into either the Airstream or the windows on the Airstream, she's good at it.
Yes, but I'm taking pictures with an iPhone.
Yeah,
I don't have a fancy camera to take pictures.
They're
with
still
right
great.
I
now.
mean, iPhone. Don't knock it, Gina. iPhone's now taking pictures better quality than most of the early stuff we ever shot in the old days.
Really?
The camera,
Yeah.
the camera's got some real capability. And
Yeah.
the biggest trick about photography with an iPhone is keeping the camera still. Don't shoot it like you're shooting casual. Lock it in next to your body where it doesn't move. It's the move. Now it's got motion sensors, so it cuts out most of that. But the biggest thing that makes iPhone pictures look bad is they're blurry sometimes because people are moving, and the action is too fast. But the camera will shoot great stuff. There's whole sites that are dedicated to fine art iPhone photography, and it's just as good as professional photography when you process it.
There needs to be a website for fine art iPhone Airstream photography.
There you go. Gina, there's your next website.
I can create that, right? Yeah.
You can do that one.
I bet people would just fill it up though, because everybody likes to take pictures of their rig.
You'd be surprised. Yeah, I bet you if it doesn't already exist and you made it, you could be at 100,000 in no time with that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Okay. I want to speak here for just a second. First of all, I want to say a disclaimer that we are not knocking fifth wheels and other box trailers and the way other campers have chosen to get out and camp, because I'd rather them go to a campground and throw up all over the campsite with their chairs and pools and beach balls and grills and all that. I'd rather them do that and get out and experience something than to not do it. So I think that it takes all kinds, not just full-timers, not just part-timers, but it's all of us that make camping what it is. And I'm thankful that they get out and do that. If nothing else, it's at least getting the kids out of the home and seeing that there's something else out there.
That was nice of you to say, Gina.
Yeah, so I have to say that disclaimer. Okay. Then the second thing I want to say, now I have a whole list here because y'all keep talking and I can't get a word in. So the second thing I want to say or ask actually is, so with all this fly fishing and stuff that you do, have you ever encountered or had competition with wildlife while you're doing that?
Oh yeah, like a bear.
I
Yeah.
carry bear spray with me, both in the van as a sort of if I don't carry a weapon or any of any kind, but the bear spray is like its own weapon. But I carry it when I'm in bear country, just because the encounters, you don't get a second chance on the encounter, so you need to have at least the best chance on the first chance. But I also stay very aware. I mean, I think situational awareness, where you are and what you're doing, and where I'm going. I don't fish during the salmon run. When the bears are out.
Okay.
I don't fish. I don't go berry picking during berry season in bear country.
Right.
Yes, there's certain things you just avoid doing because you're in their territory and we're a guest over there. I do tend to go up high country. I mean, I spent 3 months this last year in Rocky Mountain National Park, fishing all the rivers in the park. And had a grant. You can't do that. You can't do all the rivers in the park in a lifetime. But I fished all the ones that I could over 3 months. Had a grand time, and only saw 2 bears the whole time I was there.
Oh, wow.
So part of it is carrying a bear bell, so that you're making noise, so that they sort of leave you alone. They don't want to mess with you and that kind of stuff there. And they got plenty to eat, so you're not food short world. It's
Right.
more when you distract them in breeding season. I don't go out when it's birthing season and the cubs are around. That's just crazy. That's great. You're just waiting for something to happen. So you avoid certain things like that and go do something else. I mean, there's many things to do, and that's, I think, the problem is people don't think about what season is it right now. What are the animals doing? Where are they? What are they trying to? Are they trying to feed? Are they spawning? Are they breeding? What are they doing? And the bigger fear for me is the mountain lion, which I can't hear or see. There was a great post on the Airstream site recently about the mountain lion. The guy he was a wildlife photographer, and he says, you don't realize they see you all the time. You never see them.
Yeah.
And he had like a dozen pictures of mountain lions in this one area here in Nova Scotia, here in BC, Vancouver Island, where the mountain lions, it's called Souk. The mountain lions are there. You just never see him, but he's a wildlife, and he's shooting them, and they're just sitting there watching him and watching people walk by and that kind of stuff there. So they're there. They're not really. You're not prey for them. But it's just don't scare them. Don't
aggravate
get into
them.
their territory. Don't aggravate them, and don't mess with the kids.
Yeah.
They're not.
Right.
They look cute. That little teddy bear is not something that you need to mess with, because mama's somewhere around. You just don't see her, and when she sees you, you're in trouble.
Wouldn't it be funny if, like, the mountain lions had their own social media for taking pictures of weird travelers?
These stupid bipeds running around doing crazy stuff. Yeah.
Well, like, look at that stupid person doing that. Yeah. All right, grab that one.
Yeah. You're crazy.
All right, what was the other thing you were going to say, Jean?
See, y'all made me forget now because we got off on that.
I'm sorry.
No, there was one more thing, but I've already forgotten, because I knew once I started talking about the wildlife, because you hear all these stories, and we've been over in Jackson Hole and stuff in the Tetons with people trying to pet the moose or the elk or get them in their cars or whatever, and we're like,
crazy stuff.
No, people, like, this isn't the zoo, and these aren't tamed animals. This is wildlife. Leave them alone. But that kind of got me off. And well, I can't. Oh no, I do remember. The third thing was back to the van real quick, because you said that you are selling it. So from what I was hearing there, you're selling it as is, like the way you built out everything. You haven't removed any of that, special.
It's all there. Yeah, I'm selling it two ways. One way is just like it is. You can step into it and just drive off and fill it with food and fill the water tanks and be gone. Just like I would have done tomorrow if I was heading from here to another campsite. You could take the same thing. Also, but I've got it. It's overbuilt. I mean, the whole thing was overbuilt. It was built, instead of putting 25% kill mat, I put 100% coverage of kill mat. Instead of putting 2 inches, I put 4 inches of insulation. It's all overbuilt. It's all raincoat. So it's got 400 watts of solar, Battle-Born batteries, and 400 watts of solar. And it's got big big inverter and everything else. And some people may not need this. It's got an Elon Musk high performance mobile dish on there to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to price it at is two prices. One price will be if you want the whole Battle Victron system, or I'll give you the replacement cost. I'll reduce it by the replacement cost because I got to buy another one anyway. And I know what I've got with the one I've got. So if you don't want that much, I'll take it off, and then you can just replace it with a Beatty or a Jackery or wherever it is you want to do. Because most fanners only use something like a small Jackery. They don't need all that power. I wanted it because I wanted to be able to use the satellite and internet and have high-speed connections anywhere I was. So it's overbuilt from a power, but I never had any problem with power. I mean, I literally could go to the desert, stay for a month, and never move if I wanted to. And water was going to be the only limiting factor.
Yeah,
I would literally have to come back in and if I put 30 gallons of water in there, I could stay for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the pleasure of having appropriately sized solar array and battery bank is
yes.
Water and holding tanks are your only limitation, and when you can dial into that kind of setup, camping off the grid is the only way to go.
Think how much fun he's gonna have now with the big tanks on this Airstream.
That's right.
And learning to move away from AC to DC and away from DC to other sources of geez, man, I love the fact that everything on here is I can run either as DC or as propane.
Yep.
So I can boondock. But when you put solar on there and you've got a battery bank and you don't have huge draws. I mean, I haven't had AC because I travel for U.S. is 70 degrees in sunshine, or here it's 20 degrees Celsius in sunshine, or blue skies, and that eliminates the need for having to have an air conditioning unit. But so if you don't have those big drains like that, you can go for a long time. I mean, every morning by 10 o'clock, the batteries would be charged up and I'm back to 100% again for the next day. And it's like, that's a gold mine. I mean, that's a win-win.
Yes. That's what we enjoy about ours.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Well, I guess, as we start to wrap up, I'd just like to say that, I think it's exciting to hear that, you've just had this Airstream this short period of time, but you've already kind of looked ahead and pre-planned to attend some Airstream related events. And I know that you'll get a lot out of that when you dive into the Airstream community and the international rally that you're going to go to. That might be our first opportunity for us to reconnect in person again, and after a couple of years. So we look forward to seeing you for that.
We're going to have a party at the rally or something and have all of our attendees there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That'd be great.
The people that they've been guests on the podcast, we need to gather them all together for sure.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
But part of us doing that is, Gina, we have to register for the damn thing.
Oh, we haven't registered?
No, not yet.
It was pretty simple, actually.
Yeah, that's part of the planning. Yeah.
If we can't get in, Lloyd, your RV, your Airstream might have to sleep 3.
Yeah.
Oh, squeeze you in for a day or 2, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. So tell everybody how to find your social stuff, your photography, just all the stuff you've put out there, and what they can see in the future once you get on the road with the Airstream.
Great. I've basically been going by Roaming for Life, ROAMING FORLIFE. So that's on Instagram, Facebook. Those have 13 to 15 years of travel on those, from both the whole build of the van, the whole build of the boat, refit of the boat, and other travels to Europe and all in there. Then I set up a Substack page, which is basically roamingforlife.com. And that's my Substack. And I've published a photo essay every Sunday. So if you subscribe, it's just an email address. There's no cost. It's just free. And I post a long form essay with photos in it. And then I have a photo store and gallery called roamingforlifephotography.com. So that's my social media stuff. Drop me a note. Anything you see I've done photographic wise that you don't see in the store, drop me a note. I'll put it up in the store for you so you can look at it.
Very
It's kind
cool.
of cool
Sounds
nowadays.
wonderful.
Yeah, you can now picture the photograph or painting on your own wall in your own room. It's kind of
That's
cool.
cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
we have one other couple that we're friends with. We hadn't seen them in a little bit of time, but they have a big motorhome, and he's a photographer and does that too. Like I've seen some of his social posts where he's got one of his pictures that I know I've seen in the past, and it's already framed and hanging over somebody's couch, kind of deal, and
That's cool.
Mhm.
it shows how those pictures can be done that
Mhm.
he's taken, which is kind of cool. And yours, the stuff I've seen of yours, especially the black and white stuff, is awesome. So
Well, the most recent, the ones I saw of the Airstream that you did
yeah,
was phenomenal. I loved them.
Thank
yep.
you. Thank
So,
you. Yeah, the
um,
technology is so cool today. Now you take your iPhone, bring the site up, and you look at a wall in your house, and it shows you the picture on your wall in your house or office, and you can resize it. It's just it's so cool. Yeah, man, it's
That
amazing.
is
Yeah.
that's
cool.
neat. Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure reconnecting with you both. I really enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you at the international rally, in a big way. We'd love to
It's
get
going to
Yeah,
be a lot of fun.
big
Thanks
run.
for
sure.
joining us today.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
has
so
been great.
much.
Yeah.
It's great catching up. And again, congratulations on the Airstream.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I mean, I smile all the time now. It's just like I did the same thing when I got the Vespa. I went to Paris about 40 years ago and rode an old Vespa around town for a month and fell in love with it. It took me 40 years to buy one. It's so much fun. It's like being a kid again.
Yes, I
Well,
love it.
you'll have I'm sure you already have it, but like just this newfound energy of life coming from having added that Airstream to it, and
Mhm.
all the adventures that are yet to come. So we wish you the best with it. And again, thanks so much for being on with us, and we will see you down the road as soon as we can.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Lloyd.
the best of you. Big hug to both of you.
And
Yep.
you too.
How about that, Gina?
That was a lot of fun.
He came walking out of the desert and hung out by the campfire and
walked right into an Airstream.
and then because of us, he walked right into an Airstream.
Okay.
Well,
Oh, it's all because of us.
well, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say it's
no,
all.
come on, let's take credit.
Okay, we'll take credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, anyway, it's
Who's
fun.
going to stop us from taking credit right this minute? Yeah.
Fun conversation. Great guy, and yeah, glad that we were able to reconnect. So,
Absolutely.
listener, we hope you enjoyed this episode.
It's been a lot of fun, you guys. We'll see you down the road.